Marjorie Taylor Greene recently highlighted the story of a mother whose two sons died when they ingested pills they did not realize were laced with fentanyl. They died. When asked, Joe Biden began laughing. And he's just basically like, that wasn't my fault. That was the Trump administration, completely missing the point and being rather callous when talking about a mother who lost her two children. You see, the story is the mother basically said, if the border was secure, these drugs would not be coming across. My kids would be alive. In turn, the Biden administration's failures in this regard will likely result in more death. You know, Marjorie Taylor Greene blamed Joe Biden's, I'll show you the tweet so you can see the full context, but she was like, these are the Biden administration's policies that are causing this, and it's technically the truth. To clarify, Biden was not the president when these two young men died. Trump was. However, Trump was actively trying to stop the border crisis, and whenever he talked about the drugs and the cartels, they would call him racist. So, of course, you have Joe Biden's complete and total failure on the southern border. And when they come out and say, here's an example of what happens if you don't solve this problem, Biden starts laughing and says, that was the other guy. Wow. I mean, come on, man. Look, Biden, I'm not sure he actually cares about running again because he's got so much under his belt in terms of getting destroyed in another election. Look at this. Here's my favorite one. My favorite one is when the East Palestine crisis happens, Trump goes to East Palestine with supplies and buys McDonald's for first responders with a smile on his face. And Joe Biden flies to Ukraine. I hope y'all realize when you vote for Biden and when you vote for Democrats, you are voting for Ukraine. Now, maybe you like Ukraine. I certainly do. But, you know, I kind of think that we should be spending our tax dollars on saving the lives of children in this country. You got Janet Yellen now. This one's really great. Talking about the moral duty Americans have to protect the borders of Ukraine. It's so fascinating. You know, it's almost like these people aren't American. They don't care about this country. They don't care about the states. And I hear a lot of people saying federalism is the answer, federalism. And I'm just like, there is no federal government. And so when talking about federalism, the states having more power and the federal government having less power, there's going to be serious problems between states. What we need, in my opinion, is a functioning federal government, which we do not have. We have Joe Biden laughing about a woman whose kids died. It wasn't my fault. Yeah, come on, dude. True, maybe true. And then we have Biden and Yellen going to Ukraine being like, this country is more important than ours. That's the message being sent to the American people right now. Here's a story from Fox News. Biden slammed for laughing while discussing mom who lost two children to fentanyl. Shameful. Biden made the comments during the House Democratic Caucus Issues Conference on Wednesday. President Biden was criticized for letting out a laugh as he discussed a mother who lost her two children to fentanyl overdoses in 2020. Biden chuckled while discussing the situation during the House Democratic Caucus, blah, blah, blah. Rep. Marjorie Taylor Greene pinned blame on the government for failing to stop the inflow of illicit drugs into America during a House hearing on the southern border crisis. Her comments were in response to testimony from Rebecca Kiesling, whose two sons died on July 29th, 2020, due to fentanyl poisoning. According to the Detroit News, the two consumed what they thought were Percocet pills, but contained fentanyl. This government has failed you, and it's failing American families, and it's failing, most of all, it's failing our children and our young people, Greene said during the hearing on Tuesday. So let me slow down and say this. Yeah, there's some blame to the Trump administration. He was the president when this happened. But by some blame, I mean like 1%. Why? 1% as in like the smallest possible amount. He was in charge. He does oversee this. But the problem is, for the Biden administration, Trump was actively trying to stop it. So can I really blame him? Can I really be mad? Like, I'll put it this way. Maybe you know what? I'm not even going to say that. I wanted to have it be like Donald Trump was the president, so the buck stops with him. Nah, I take it back. If there's a burning building and the previous homeowner is the one who started the fire and a new guy comes in and immediately starts trying to put the fire out, I'm not going to blame him for the people who died. So I'll tell you this. Let's just get down to brass tacks. Whose fault is this? Obama. And guess what? Who was VP under Obama? Joe Biden. Now come out and tell me, oh, but Donald Trump was president. When Donald Trump was running for president, he said, we got to stop this problem. When Donald Trump got elected, he started working to stop the problem. I am not going to blame him for a problem that existed under the Obama administration with Vice President Biden that they didn't fix when Donald Trump was trying to fix it. If you're going to come out and you're going to laugh and you're going to play this game. Now, let me clarify. Typically, I'd like to say the buck stops with the president. That's why I said Trump gets some blame. He is the president, but I'm not going there. If the Democrats want to play this game of it's your fault, so be it, not my fault, so be it, then fine. Then we will play politics and I will say Biden was VP. Trump was desperately trying to put out his fires. And now we're here with Biden laughing at the death of a woman's children. Incredible, isn't it? Listen to this mother who lost 2 children to fentanyl poisoning. Tell the truth about their son's murders because of the Biden administration's refusal to secure our border and stop the cartels from murdering Americans every day by Chinese fentanyl. While discussing Green's comments on the loss of Kiesling's sons, Biden laughed. Isn't she amazing? Oof, he laughed. I should digress. Probably I've read she was very specific recently, saying that a poor mother who lost 2 kids to fentanyl, that I killed their sons. Well, the interesting thing is that the fentanyl they took came during the last administration. Shameful and embarrassing, Jim Banks said. Shameful and embarrassing indeed. Because Joe Biden was the vice president. Joe Biden was the vice president when the problems were in full swing, and Donald Trump came in to try and stop those fires. So yeah, Biden, it is your fault. Well, the mom's slamming back. How dare you? Mother who lost both sons to fentanyl poisoning says she is shocked at despicable Biden for laughing at the claim his policies are to blame for the deaths and demands an apology. Rebecca Kiesling's sons died. She lives in Michigan. Last night, Biden invoked Kiesling's story to poke fun at Marjorie Taylor Greene, telling an audience of chuckling Democrats at the House Democratic Caucus Issues Conference. The interesting thing is that fentanyl the boys took came during the last administration. Ha ha. Kiesling, in a video posted online on Wednesday night, reacted to his comments with fury. This is how you speak about the death of my sons? Because a congresswoman misspoke, you mock the loss of my sons? Marjorie Taylor Greene may have misspoke. What she should have said is the Biden administration is refusing to implement policies and refusing, and I should say with their current policies, encouraging the spread of these dangerous drugs, and it is making the crisis at the border worse. The policies that we are seeing from Joe Biden will result in more stories like this, while Donald Trump was actively trying to stop it. It's funny, they hate Trump so much. They just hate him so much, they blame him for literally everything. I try to be a little bit more nuanced and balanced. You know, is it Joe Biden's fault? Look, Barack Obama was called deporter in chief. So let's get serious. During the Obama administration, they were actually deporting tons of people. They were really upset about it, actually. But this is the game that they want to play. This is the game that Joe Biden wants to play. The border crisis is worse than ever. He could come out and say, I feel for this mother and her lost children, and I understand we do have a very serious problem on the border with fentanyl. Trust me, mark my words, we will put an end to this, and we are doing what we can. I will speak to Marjorie Taylor Greene and try and come up with some solutions to make sure that no mother has to mourn the loss of her children. Do that. You know what, man? There's no honor. There's no integrity. There's only politics. There's only Joe Biden going, that was the other guy. Yeah, joke's on you. Yeah, I was joking about running for office last night. I'll never do it. But I just so desperately want a politician who will just say it. I'm sorry to hear of your loss. It brings me tremendous grief. Just know that outside of the politics, we really are trying to stop this crisis. And hopefully we can come to some solutions. And I will work with Marjorie Taylor Greene to find those solutions. Marjorie, my office is available for your call. He can't do that? He can't just say something like that? Yeah, okay. I wouldn't believe him anyway, to be completely honest. I think they want the crisis at the border. Because if they had Biden has the ability to put a stop to this. They don't, though. No, I think they want the crisis at the border because they're bringing in illegal immigrants and shipping them around because I think they're playing the long game. It's what California does with bringing in illegal immigrants so that they can get more electoral college vote power. How dare you? What is the matter with you? Almost every Democrat on the committee offered condolences. They at least had the decency to do that. Fair point. You can't even do that. You have to mock my pain. She also pointed to the rise in fentanyl deaths across the country since Biden took office, saying, my children died about 6 months before he became president. There have been failed policies by many administrations for far too long, ever since there was a surge in drug deaths due to fentanyl. This has been a problem for a long time. But what about the 22% increase in fentanyl deaths since you became president? Biden is a scumbag. Sorry, man. You know, I'll try not to be partisan on this, but this is exactly the point. This woman does not represent Donald Trump's failures. She just represents the problem at the border. And you can criticize Trump. Please do it with my blessing. But under Biden, a 22% increase in fentanyl deaths, and then he laughs. Biden could come out and agree to work on a bipartisan solution. We don't get that. We don't get that. No, we don't get that. We get this. Suspect in rape and murder of 20-year-old autistic woman was illegal border crosser, alleged MS-13 gang member, released by the Biden administration into the U.S. despite arrest before killing. Laugh at that, Joe Biden. That one happened under the other guy. How about this 20-year-old autistic woman who was raped and murdered under your watch because your administration will not solve for this problem? That's what I'm sick of. They want it. They encourage it. We got big problems in this country, man. Last night I said this on the members only show at Timcast.com. Head over to Timcast.com, click the join us button, become a member, watch the members only show from last night. I'll give you a bit. Becoming a member supports all the work we do. All of this is primarily funded by memberships at Timcast.com. I'm trying to get away from advertisers because I don't want to be beholden to them. So become a member at Timcast.com if you support the work that I do. And then watch the members only from last night. And I'll basically tell you what I said last night. There's no classical liberal solution to these problems. There's none. For the longest time, we try to be good stewards of freedom and liberty and personal responsibility and meritocracy and all those things, for which I believe in. The problem is our goodwill is exploited by evil people over and over and over again. And perhaps that's why people like Matt Walsh of the Daily Wire are correct when they say, be a little bit meaner to bad people. Yeah, he's right. What's the classically liberal solution to the problems faced by this country? You have a group of people who believe in freedom, personal responsibility, meritocracy, asking for a debate with people who believe in might makes right. The left makes the argument over and over again that you can't tolerate fascism or authoritarianism because then they will eventually take over. They have this Karl Popper meme. And you know what? They're not completely wrong. We try to maintain rigorous debate, but we see what happens. When you give these people an inch, they will take a mile. Crackpot authoritarians. So, my view is this. I'm a fairly libertarian individual, but I believe in borders for a nation. And I've argued with many libertarians who don't believe in borders. One guy was like, you believe imaginary lines exist? And I was like, what is that supposed to mean, dude? You think that, like, you can't walk across a thing because of an imaginary line? And it's just like, that is a child's argument for about borders. My argument for borders is this. We are a people, a community. We have defensive capabilities, and we assert a limit to which we will enforce those defensive capabilities to protect the views that we hold and the way we want to live. That is, on the southern border, we extend the constitutional rights to a limit. And then we say to Mexico, where they extend their influence, we will not butt heads. That means if you have no border, there is no way to defend your rights. So classical liberalism, personal responsibility, all that stuff, right? It's like a center-right libertarian kind of philosophy. But we got to have borders because we have to say this is where we draw the line. We will defend our communities from those who infringe upon us. The problem is we have far leftists who are infringing upon us inside our country, and that means we need borders. We need a limit where we say we believe in free speech and personal responsibility, but not if you cross this line. What I mean to say is, Matt Walsh says be a little bit meaner. And he's probably right. Dissuade people from being nasty and evil. And I would say this. I said it a while ago. I will not defend the free speech of those who oppose free speech. That's it. You get what you want. You get what you deserve. If there is a man who comes to me and says, I believe everyone should have a right to free speech, I'll say, I agree completely. And then if the government comes down and cracks him with a truncheon saying, do not speak, I'll say, hey, don't you do that. We believe in free speech. If that then guy who wants to beat somebody for their free speech says, I have a right to beat whoever I want, and then he gets cracked in there with a truncheon by another cop saying, no, you don't, you can't speak up, shut your mouth, I'll say, thank you, officer. The person who wants free speech to be suppressed got what they asked for. Which brings me to the problem faced by this country. A 20-year-old autistic woman was raped and murdered by an MS-13 member. We are sitting here in this country watching hypoxic Democrat voters vote for a man who would exacerbate our country's problems. What do? If these people were coming to the table, the Democrats, to have a legitimate argument and say, look, I know these things are bad, but there's a reason why we're engaged in these policies, I'd say, okay. And sometimes they do. But for the most part, they don't. They refuse to debate, they refuse to engage, and they lie. Okay, here's what I have to say. For the people who believe in an honest conversation and debate, I will extend to you that courtesy. And to the people who lie, cheat, and steal and seek to destroy everything, I will extend to you the very same courtesy. I believe that if we as a community, as a culture, share moral values, we thrive. When we don't, well, we don't thrive. And thus, I view those who would seek to undermine and destroy this country, implement policies that result in the rape and murder of young women, as bad people undeserving of my defense. So, well, I won't censor people. I won't advocate for their censorship. I will not defend them when the problems of their own making come home to roost. Now, perhaps we should go a little bit further and say, fight fire with fire. And that's a bit of what I think we are seeing. There's this tweet from the Krasensteins, I might do a segment on it later, where they're like, Republicans now want to issue boycotts, but they said they don't believe in cancel culture, blah, blah. I don't care. I used to say this, I'm not going to boycott. Hulu once put up this tweet being like, don't wear Halloween costumes that appropriate someone's culture. And then I said, this is really, really stupid. You should delete it. They did. And then everyone's like, boycott Hulu. And I'm like, I'm not going to boycott Hulu because of a dumb tweet. I don't play the stupid games the left does. Now it's time to play a different game. And the game goes like this. If you're a big corporation and you put out a dumb tweet, I will boycott you. If you are Disney and you thank the security forces that are operating concentration camps, I will boycott you. If you come out and say, I apologize, I will subscribe in 2 seconds. There's limits. If they're still thanking these security forces, well, I'm not going to come out and thank you. You know what I mean? But my point is this. Do the right thing, and then I will give you my money. Do the wrong thing, and I will oppose you. Extend the wrong thing to a great degree, and I'll do more than I will actively oppose you, and I will seek alternatives, and I will seek to promote them. I'll put it this way. However much money you stand to lose from me unsubscribing from your service, I will cost you 1,000-fold in bad PR. We cannot just sit back and let Biden and Democrats rip, gut, and extinguish the flame of this nation. Bryan Cranston was being interviewed, and he was like, make America great again. When was America ever great for black people? This is why they take issue and they say it's racist. And I'm just like, America was great when our economy was good. When was America great for black people? Well, it was great for any American when the economy was better. Like, make America great again. This is a great nation. How about it was great when Union soldiers laid down their lives to preserve this country and ultimately lead to the war that fight the war that led to the end of slavery? Was that not great? I am not saying that the black community has gone through the best of times in this country. I'm saying make America great again isn't specifically about the bad times. It's just saying let's make it great again. That means in order to be great by any global standard, it would have to be better than it is now. But he said it's racist. No. Y'all are racist. Y'all are nuts. I want to make America great again. America was great for a long time. It had problems. And the reason the country was great was because we overcame those problems. If it's going to be great again, that means we have to be better than we are now. And that means ensuring civil rights for all people, bolstering the economy, and making people just have a better quality of life. These people aren't doing that. They're ripping it apart at the seams, and they're laughing as they do it. Janet Yellen claims U.S. taxpayers have duty to defend Ukraine's border from invasion. It's a bit hyperbolic on Breitbart's part, but that's effectively what she said. She said that U.S. economic assistance plays a foundational role in supporting Ukraine's resistance to Russia's illegal and immoral war. And President Zelensky has said, our assistance is not charity. It's an investment in global security and democracy. And she's like, we got to defend it. We have to do it. Joe Biden can come out. He can ignore the problem. He can mock our pain. He didn't care. He's not a good dude. He flew to Ukraine to deliver $500 million. And Donald Trump at the same time flew to East Palestine to give supplies to the people suffering a toxic chemical spill and train derailment. Make your choice. I'll leave it there. Next segment's coming up at 1 p.m. on this channel. Thanks for hanging out, and I'll see you all then.